I've seen people get so focused on the idea of buying a home that they develop these blinders. And even though there's clear signs that maybe we should stop and maybe reconsider some decisions, they're just so focused on that end goal that nothing else matters. And they don't realize that until many months later when they wake up in the middle of the night and they suddenly have like this moment of clarity, like, why did I do this? Right. So today's video goal is quite simple. I want to go over 3 things that if they're happening, maybe it's a sign to tell you that it's over. Reconsider the ability to purchase. Reconsider the house. Maybe just check in with yourself to make sure, is this the right decision? And my hope is that this somehow plants in your subconscious. And once you're buying a home and you're into it and you're just emotionally going and everything's going, that you, from the depths of your soul, my ugly face pops up and goes like, hey, remember that video? Maybe not so brutal like that, but you get the point. For those that don't know me, my name is Javi. I've been making videos now for a very long time, helping home buyers like yourself accomplish their home goals. And the reason I make these videos is to help educate you on the home buying process so you don't get taken advantage of when you're looking to buy a home. And when that time comes, consider using me if you're in the Phoenix, Arizona area, or getting an agent referral from one of my trusted network down in the description below. So let's get the ball rolling. If the math isn't mathing anymore, the numbers are not quite adding up to what your goals were, maybe it's a chance for you to reconsider things. There's 2 numbers I'm thinking about specifically. One of them is going to be your monthly payment. The second one is, I was going to put originally down payment, but it's more like your cash to close. Essentially, how much money you're willing to spend for the purchase of the house. Essentially, monthly payment is what you're comfortable spending. Like, what's the most amount of money that you're comfortable spending? And let's say that number is, Javier, I don't want to spend more than, $2,400 a month, right? Maybe giving yourself a little bit of wiggle room of, say, $100 or so, okay? So this is quite simple. If you're looking at a house and it looks really nice, before you go and make an offer, stop. Go ask your lender, whoever's helping you with the loan, what does my monthly payment look like for this house? If they come back and they say $2,600, $2,700, you might start feeling a little bit uncomfortable. That's your gut telling you, hey, we're deviating from our original goal. Right? Well, maybe if it's below, it's probably even better. But if it goes above, then you need to just kind of check in with yourself. And of course, if it keeps happening over and over again, maybe you need to reprioritize some things. And maybe, hey, the house that you're looking for isn't the one in that area that you're thinking about or the features that it wants. But either way, you have to be able to recheck with yourself every time you make an offer on a house. And regarding your cash to close, okay, you have a specific number that you saved for the house. Okay, so let's say, and once again, if you're at this point already, I'm hoping that you have a nest egg already. I'm hoping that you've done all the necessary things to prepare for this point. So I'm assuming you've done all that. Say you saved, let's total of $25,000 for the house, okay? And depending on your down payment, whatever might happen. Well, when you're about to make an offer in the house and your agent says, hey, I think you should pay your own closing costs for this one. This one makes sense. Okay, great. You're just gonna be like, yeah, I'm sure that this person has my best interest in heart. Let's just go for it. Well, what happens if once you're under contract and you actually calculate the closing costs, and now you're actually going to be on the hook for $33,000. Holy crap, that's like $8,000 over. Now you could afford it, you can dip into your savings and get it, but it's just like crap, like why didn't I just check in, right? So no one is going to stop you and tell you, hey, are you sure you want to do this? An agent is a salesperson. A lender is a mortgage officer, right? They're in the business of selling you a home. Yes, they do have your best interest at heart, but sometimes we shouldn't just lean on that and depend on that. We should just check in and make sure that we're protecting ourselves. Your biggest advocate is yourself. So before you make an offer, before you get yourself into it, ask. Have your lender run scenarios. And if you feel like you're being too annoying, good. That's what your job should be, to just continue to pester. And it's not really pestering, continue to check in with your lender. How do the numbers look like for this house? If your lender starts giving you crap for that, give me their number. I'll call them. I mean, a lender should not be bothered with just checking some basic numbers. Okay. I mean, is that too much to ask? Jeez Louise. Not every situation you're going to get the seller to pay your closing costs. Not every situation you're going to get the seller to reduce their price. That's okay. Find a situation that will. I want to quickly mention I have 2 free resources that'll help with this. One is going to be the budget breakdown, where you plug in what you're making gross monthly income wise, what you're making about your net income, and it'll help you break down what your ideal mortgage payment should be for each one. And you don't have to use the budget stuff, just it'll kind of help figure that out for you. And also have a calculator where you can plug in your number, what kind of loan you're going to have, and it'll give you a rough idea of what the breakdown of how much money you need for that house. So just wanted to plug that real quick. Let's get back to the video. Second situation is going to be the deal doesn't make any sense anymore. Like, it's just not quite adding up according to what you're trying to do or what you feel you should be able to do. So let's say you find a house and it just, check box all the boxes. When I am helping people buy a home here in the Phoenix, Arizona area, I like to, incorporate the checkbox method. I'm not here to say, let's just find your dream home. And if your soul calls out from the depths of your body, then this is the house for you. No, it's like we have a checkbox of like what we're looking for. We want 3-bedroom, we want 2-bath, we want this, whatever, right? So let's say you find a house and each, all the check boxes are check marked. Everything works and makes sense. The house is for sale for, let's say, I don't know, $450. Now you should just go ahead and make that offer at $450, right? No, you should have your agent actually give you an idea of what the opinion of value of that house is. So what they do is they'll, pull up comparables, find different houses that have sold in the neighborhood, and just give their professional opinion of what they think that house is worth. They should be able to, at least give you that of their experience in the industry. And I mean, that's why we're hiring these agents, right? That's why we give them the percentage of compensation, is we want their opinion and we trust their opinion, right? But not only that, we want them to present what they're presenting to see if it actually makes sense. So then we can choose, okay, does this make sense or something off here? Let's say we do that and we actually find out, well, this house is actually a true value, like compared to other comparables, it's about like $420. Like, it's not really worth $450. And now we have an issue. Not only do we have to get these people down to that true value that we think it is, but if you're trying to like actually get a deal, then we got to get them lower, right? So I think for sure step one is you guys need to really check in with yourself and ask yourself, what does a good deal mean to you? What does really a good deal to mean? I'm working with some people right now. I love them to death. They're really cool to hang out with, but they're just old school. They'll see a house they like, and it fits all the boxes, and I'll give them some comps, and I'll tell them, hey, I think it's worth pretty good. And they're just like, yeah, we want to offer $100,000 below price. Why? Well, it needs about $50,000 worth of work, and this, that, and the other. We feel that's a good number. If a good deal to you is that you completely just destroy them on price and you get them like way below market value, then you need to be straightforward with that. If you're looking for a deal like that, it's probably not on the multiple listing service. It's not probably one that's for sale. A deal like that comes when you find a seller who's in a desperate situation and they don't want to put their house in the market and the house needs a lot of work and they're looking to find someone cash. And these people that I happen to be mentioning are also financed offers. So like we're trying to be super aggressive and we're also financed. So it doesn't like add up. Like usually that's like a cash situation, right? So you just have to be really, be true to yourself and what you are and what you're providing. Maybe a good deal for you is just getting that house in the neighborhood that you want because that neighborhood is really special. There's not a lot of houses that go for sale in that neighborhood. And when one goes, it's just such a blessing to get one in that neighborhood because it's so rare. Like there's only 50 houses in that neighborhood and rarely they go up. A deal is to just get a house in that neighborhood, right? It's just whatever your perspective is. If you don't have an idea of what a good deal means to you, let me give you some options that you can maybe build from. A good deal to you might be, I have the money saved up for a down payment. I just don't have it. I don't want to pay the extra 10 or 12K for closing costs. So a good deal for me is if I can get the house around fair market value and have the seller pay my closing costs for me, that'll be pretty cool. A good deal for you might be, I don't just have a lot of confidence in this market right now, so I want to try to buy it at least $10,000 to $20,000 below market value, just to kind of cover myself in case there's any adjustments in the future. A good deal to you might be, I need to find the house, figure out the fair market value, subtract the cost of what I think it's going to be to repair or bring it up to shape, and and I'll be a happy boy or girl, right? That's just some examples I made on the top of my head. You can take or leave it, but you need to be very clear on what that is to you. And when you're looking at a house, let's go back to our example here, where let's say the house here is $450, clearly overpriced. It's clearly worth $420, and among that, it has some other features like it's been on the market for over 100 days. So 100 days on market, 100 over 100. The seller has never reduced the price. So there's all clear signs that it's stubborn. The seller's just being super stubborn, right? Let's say you're not being unreasonable and you're like, I'm gonna offer them $420, and if they pay like maybe $10,000 of our closing costs, that covers it, and we're basically getting it at $410 at that point. So that's a good deal to us. That makes sense to us. What happens if they come back and they go, you know what, that doesn't work for us. We want $450, and we'll give you $5,000 of closing costs, like something like meager like that. Okay. We can fight, we can complain, we can argue with the stubborn seller a lot, but when you're dealing with a stubborn door, like, how do you fix it? Are you going to fix it with force? Or are you going to just move on with your life and not let that door affect you? We cannot convince people otherwise. We can only present our offer in the best way. And if they're not willing to see logic, we cannot be the savior for everybody. We're not here to save or bring people to light. We're here to get a home. And if they're being so stubborn and their listing agent is not really helping, then what are we doing? Are we going to just give in and get, hey, $450? Okay, fine, you get $450, even though it's been on the market for 100 days and you have never reduced the price, you have all these other problems with the house. We'll give you the price you want. Now, occasionally there's a seller that has a house you really, really like that is like this. But in that case, proceed with caution and know what you're getting into. But either way, the point is, if the deal doesn't make sense according to what you consider a deal and what your fair market value of the house is and all those other features, then maybe it's time for you to move on to another house. Don't you think? Last but not least, it might be time for you to reconsider if you're seeing a lot of red flags. Are you seeing a lot of issues with the house? Not only during the original showing, but like during the home inspection. So, whoa, sorry, I didn't mean to click that one. Just give you a freaking jump scare. I'm sorry about that. Before you start looking for a house, I think my opinion, you should have two lists, okay? List number one is going to be all the things you're comfortable repairing. So for me, example, I'm comfortable repairing anything that is with wood, like replacing doors, cabinets, you know, the molding, stuff like that. You know, I'm okay doing that. I'm okay working on any plumbing features, like, hey, you know, if I need to put in a sink or do anything along like that, I can do that. I'm a little bit of a handy person. When it comes to like landscaping, like tearing up trees, cutting grass, cutting back, you know, moving rocks around, I'll freaking do it. Do I like doing it? No, but I have the experience to do it. List number two is going to be the things that you definitely are like, no, like you don't want to deal with. There's definitely like red flags. If it's on this list, you want someone else to take care of it because you don't want to even touch it. For me personally, it's electrical stuff. I know a lot of people have experience with electrical stuff and the thing doesn't scare them. For me, my dad didn't do it growing up. I've never fixed a single outlet in my life. I just don't want to touch it. Okay, I play too much video games where, you know, lightning or thunder, what it does and the effects it has to my characters, and I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have that, right? Any mold issues, nope, don't want to touch it. And once again, this is just my list. So you can have a different list completely. And surprisingly, paint. Man, I just hate painting. There's just something about painting that I'm just like, oh my God. And maybe we're not asking the seller to paint something, but like patching stuff and like stuff like that, I don't want to deal with it. Okay, so you have your list of like, hey, the things I'd probably be okay with and the things that are like red flags, okay? And what you do is, I mean, you maybe you don't have it printed out, you just have it mentally. While you're looking at houses, if you're seeing a lot of this stuff add up, maybe should you move forward with this house or not, right? Like, should we even maybe make it an offer? If you're going there and you see the freaking panels, still the ancient old panels, or you're seeing like a bunch of wires running around the whole house where things are just improperly done. Me personally, that's probably one I would not buy because it's just like, it's on my red list. Like there's just too much stuff that doesn't align with what I'm comfortable with. But if I'm walking through it and I see the landscaping's ugly, I'm seeing the wood and plumbing, cool, I can fix all this. It's no big deal. But if let's say you move forward knowing some of this stuff, or like I'm not really sure about the condition of some of this stuff, you do your inspection. And in the inspection, you find a lot of these items, you start kind of getting a tally of what the repair costs are going to be. Okay. So me personally, what I tell people is whatever your red list is, like your issue list, like tally those. And if we don't know, we can get a contractor's opinion, right? So tally up all the cost of, like, let's say there's an electrical issue. There's like, oh, okay, there's some other problem that you're not comfortable with. And on top of that, you also want to, if there's any major renovations, like the AC or the roof, like something that's going to be over $5,000. If there's anything that's over $5,000 and there's an issue with it on the inspection, get a contractor out there to give you two items. What does it cost to repair it just to kind of make it work for the next few years? And what does it cost to replace it? All the contractors are going to say it needs to be replaced because they're salespeople as well. But you at least get a good idea of what the costs are going to be. So then let's say this house you're looking at needs a new roof. So the roof is going to be, I don't know, like $12,000. When you're towards the end of the inspection, you're going to kind of get an idea. Well, if I buy this house, I'm probably going to have to spend, I don't know, let's just say there was other stuff, $14,000 in the near future. Sometimes the roof doesn't need to get replaced right away. And sometimes you can just wait a few years just to kind of hold off. But still, that is an expense that you're going to have to be responsible for in the near future. If this number is not quite adding up with what your current goals are and your savings goals are, maybe you have some big plans after you buy the house to go travel the world and you don't really need to want to save extra money for a roof, then I think you need to obviously ask the seller to repair or replace. But if the seller says no, then you need to kind of think it, right? That's a thinking phase. Does it make sense to move forward? It's quite logical. I mean, you have an idea of what you want to spend. You have the list of things that you don't want to deal with. You ask the seller to deal with the things that you don't want to deal with and also major stuff. If the seller doesn't want to replace them or repair them, then you ask yourself, are you comfortable taking that? And a lot of times the answer is yes. A lot of times the answer is no. It's okay. Like, you have to be kind of you have to have these conversations with yourself. A lot of times people are presented with these massive decisions they have to make as they're buying a house, and they just freeze because they just thought the house was going to be perfect and everything was going to go just fine. Have these scenarios already played out in your head so that way you know how to handle them, or at least are somewhat mentally prepared. Right? Have you ever had a confrontation with your friend or a family member who's been just bugging the crap out of you? You play it out in your head a few times before you talk to them, right? Same thing. Just play out these scenarios in your head so that way your brain, it's not the first freaking shock that you get. You've already kind of experienced it and you know how to handle it. And if the numbers aren't making sense after doing all this, there are other houses out there. You guys, a house is just a bunch of walls, doors, and a window. Sometimes we get so obsessed with this specific house. Man, there's this one person once I remember. She was interesting. It was a lead through an online source. We went to go look at a house. She was like, I love this house. This house is the one for me. This is perfect. Presented an offer, got the offer accepted. Guys, the first week, just complete mental self-sabotage. Complete, oh my gosh, something's wrong with the house. There's an issue here. There's that. We didn't even get to the inspection. She just kept finding ways to kind of like, this isn't it. This isn't the house. I don't want it no more. No. This is no good. I want my deposit back. I can't handle this. I canceled. A month later, I'm so sorry. I really regret things. Can you reach out to them and see if they'll work with us again? I go do that. They say they're willing to work with us. She ghosts me. Just like, what? And I talked to her like a month ago, and she was like, oh man, ever since I lost my dream house, no other house can be the same. And I'm like, do we not, like, are you gaslighting me right now? Do we not remember the same thing? You chose to leave that house. And now she's looking at it with like rose-colored glasses. So is she in love with that house? No. It was just the idea of the house, right? The grass is always greener. When she actually had the house, she panicked and she freaked out. And I recently found out that she ended up actually going to buy another house with another agent, which best of luck to her. And guess what happened? She freaked out again. And when I called her, she was telling me about how she's going to lose her earnest money because it was past the inspection. And what is she going to do? Unfortunately, I can't help at that point because she's already under contract with someone else. But if anything you can learn from her story is the panic and the fear is going to be there regardless of the house. The house itself isn't going to be the solution that makes you somehow clear-headed. You need to be good internally. And when you find the house that works, you try to make it work. But if it just doesn't make sense, you need to be okay walking away. While you're there crying and wiping up your tears from my amazing speech, if you're looking for any of these homebuyer resources, so there's a bunch, I have a bunch of goodies that I have. You can actually get it for free if you just type 0, or if you want to tip, that'd be sweet. Appreciate it. All of my spreadsheets, timeline tools, stuff like that, and PDFs are there. If you're looking for an agent referral anywhere in the country, you can just click homeandmoney.com/Javier and just click a few buttons. You know, I'm selling, I'm buying, whatever your situation is. You get connected with a trusted agent that's really on top of their game. And of course, if you're ready to meet with me, you can either schedule an appointment with me or just come out here, give me a call, email, type a nice little message to me, and it'll come right straight forward to me. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Blessed to you. Blessed be you. I don't know why I said that. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.